What are the differences between the multiple control sets in the Windows registry? There are multiple branches with control set in their names under /local machine /system. What are the fundamental differences between the way Windows uses these three keys?
Microsoft say it best in KB 100010. Going back to Windows, I think 95, you could set any driver/hardware component to work only in a certain setting mode, which was user selectable at startup. By default, you have /ControlSet001, last boot, /ControlSet002, known good settings, /current ControlSet, current boot, edit. It looks like this was only taken out recently. I have personally never used it since 95, however, I found a good site that can show you it from Windows XP, from System Properties, and from Device Manager.
Windows maintains at least 2 control set entries in the registry. You will likely have control set 001 and 1, or possibly both, of control set 002 or control set 003. There is no significant difference between these. They hold vital information about your system's hardware, services, and other system settings necessary for booting and running the system, and are generally identical. The current control set item is the easiest to describe. It is simply mapped onto whichever control set #### you are currently using, just like how /current_user is mapped to whichever user from the /users branch is currently active. Naturally, any changes you make to current control set will be written to the set that it is mapped to. The reason that you have multiple control sets is that when you make a change to how the system functions, especially to hardware, there is a possibility that may not work. If there were only one copy of the information required to even boot, and it fails, then you would be in trouble because it would require a lot of work, and at least separate OS, if not a whole system, to try to fix things. Instead, changes are made to one control set, and if Windows cannot boot successfully, you can reboot using the other, pre-change control set. That way at least you get back up and running quickly so that you can use the system, and the internet, to figure out what the problem was. When you do manage to boot correctly, the changes are written to the other copy, thus keeping it up to date. I believe it happens on shutdown or at some point, just not immediately after a seemingly successful boot, since it may or may not have actually been successful. Some people misinterpret the two control sets as being the normal one and the backup one. This is true in a sense, however in reality, you may be booting from either. There is no primary or secondary set, and they can be cycled. In other words, if you normally used control set 001, then had a failed boot, you may now be using control set 002/003 normally until the next time that you have a failed boot, at which point you would switch back.
If you want to support the channel, please consider liking and subscribing.